Hello everyone, and welcome to another virtual pet video. This time we won't be talking about Digimon, we'll be instead talking about Tamagotchis. So this Tamagotchi in particular is what I will be talking about today, and this is the TamaTown Tama Go. So this was originally released in 2010, and it's sort of seen as a spiritual successor to the Tamagotchi Connection series, but it is obviously a lot larger. So the Tamagotchi Connection series originally had versions 1 to 6, and this is more or less sort of seen as a version 7 with a few improvements. So this is the version 6, so it's not got any batteries in at the moment, but you can see it's rather thin, it's circular shape, doesn't stand up, and it's small. Then we have the Tama Go in comparison, which is much wider and larger with a bigger screen, and as you'll notice it even has a background which is more in line with the most recent Tamagotchis, or the more recent Tamagotchis, where it's not just a strange background that never changes forever like in this one, which is just a shape. This one actually has a background which is part of the display itself, so that display changes. For example, if I choose to go to the door, again that's more in line with the more recent or the modern Tamagotchis where they have a door, and I'll go to the park and we'll see our little Tamagotchi go outside, and the background actually changes along with the scenario or the scene about wherever the Tamagotchi is going. So he's at the park. Another thing you'll notice is, and this is, I love this small little detail that the Tamago have that a lot of even the more recent ones don't seem to have, is that it has a flat base. And how cool is that? Because look, you can just have it on your desk. You don't have to have it this way. I mean, you can't because it kind of rolls around the place, but you can have it up this way. So you can kind of just, you can look at it, you can have it on your desk, and you can watch him go. And compare this with the Ps, which flat-ish back, but no flat base, but it can sort of sit there at least. So while you don't have the ability to sort of lay flat, you can at least sit flat, and I kind of like that. I kind of like how that it can just sort of sit like that. I'm a big fan of that. So this was more or less released as the English release when Japan had just had their Tamagotchi Color released. This also doesn't have batteries in it, but this was more or less the English equivalent of the Tamagotchi Color. But of course the Tamagotchi Color also doesn't have the base flat, it only has the back flat. So it really depends on what you want there. And that's the main comparison between that and the other Tamagotchis. But in general, this also had something that was kind of interesting. So we have a removable head for starters, so we can slide that off. And this was actually sold with a bunch of these little figures. So this was Amiibo before Amiibo was cool. So what you would do is you could slide this onto the head, and then it would give you extra features, extra games, extra foods, just extra bits. And this may seem familiar if you are familiar with any Tamagotchi, is that this is similar to the Ps functionality. This one does have batteries in it, and he's sick because I'm a terrible mother and I run like 20 Tamagotchis at once because I had no idea. Maybe I'm overcompensating for something, so I'm just going to give him the leaf. I don't understand why a 4-leaf clover can cure a sick Tamagotchi, by the way, but this one still has medicine at least. So yes, so you slide these little figures on and off, and you get different games or different features. Now there were 2 that were actually bundled with the Tamagotchis, so this one was bundled with this purple Tamago, and these ones are seen as sort of smaller versions of these little DLC figures. And there's also, I also have the Mamachi one, and if I slide his head off, oh, that's not the Mamachi one, there we are. This one came with that. So that's sort of, I don't know, I really dig this little figure feature. It's kind of dumb, and you have to buy additional figures to get the additional content, and there's a couple of them that are rarer than others. I don't think I even have any ultra rare ones. These were just a couple dollars on eBay, and yeah, so I'm a big fan of that for starters. And of course, I just love the backgrounds. Obviously, because this is from the Tamagotchi Connection sort of esque line, there is obviously the TamaTown website, which is no longer available. So if we go to, let's connect to the PC, this is more or less a dead feature. So originally you would go to the TamaTown website, and this is the same with all the Tamagotchi connections that were released here, and you would put in this password, and then you would enter that into your PC on TamaTown, and you would play a bunch of mini games, and then on your return, after putting in that password, you would then put in a log out password, so you could bring back anything that you've got from the TamaTown website, you could bring back on your Tamagotchi itself, and that was pretty neat. And also similar to the rest of the Tamagotchi connection line is that it used infrared to connect to the other Tamagotchis. And of course, that is the same with the more recent Tamagotchis. Not that the Ps is considered recent anymore. It's, I think, 8 years old now. But that's pretty... yeah, it's pretty consistent with the other releases. Another nifty feature is that the faceplate underneath here can be replaced and changed. You can design your own, and I do like that level of customization for virtual pets, because I don't think we've ever had a Digimon that you could customize without, like, it's not intended customization. Sure, you can take off the cage, you can change the buttons, you can even take it apart, paint it, or take it apart and swap out the background or the screen here, which is pretty cool. And I'm always kind of tempted to customize the screen and take a different screen. Maybe I'll use my custom for that, which is here. Like, maybe one day I'll take out the background and give it a nice little custom background. I'm not sure. I never have. I'm not sure why. In the Discord channel, I was noticing people were talking about swapping that bit of paper out for a bit of glow-in-the-dark paper. That's pretty cool. But in general, Digimon has never had any level of intended customization. And I'm a big fan of that with the Tamagotchis, where you can just remove these faceplates. Now, while some of them don't have removable faceplates, they're still easy to remove. But these ones actually have, and I'm struggling to get it off, but there was a little bit of a slip there where you can flip it off, but mine's just stuck for some reason. Maybe I'll have more luck with this one. There we are, that one came off much easier. So, yeah, you just remove this bit of plastic, or paper, and you can flip it over and put your own design in on that blank bit, or you can print one off from the internet and do it that way. So that's, or you could just take it off completely and have no background. So that's fairly nifty. And as I said, I'm a pretty big fan of having that as a bit of a feature. But in general, like, I only rediscovered this the other day, and I was kind of like, I think it was yesterday, in fact. I was kind of like, oh, I'd never really played around with this much. I think I played around with it for maybe a day, maybe 2 days, and yeah, never really kind of touched it again after that, which was kind of unfortunate. Especially now because TamaTown is shut down and I can't just get those extra features that are available there. So that's a shame. But yeah, so I'm a fan of the Tama Go TamaTown. I haven't heard many people really ever talk about it. As I said, I really like these little amiibo before amiibos, these little figures, the DLC, the whatever you want to call them, the ways for Bandai to make more money, because, hey, give me your money, yay! But yeah, so I'm a big fan of that. Not a big fan of this silly chain thing because it's flimsy. Instead of using a metal one, it's plastic. It comes undone up here all the time. So honestly, I'm finding myself trying not to lose this part of it. You'll notice that these figures also have that hole there, and that's so you can attach them to this very flimsy plastic, cheap, for the lack of the better word, chain. But yeah, so that's the TamaTown Tama Go, and honestly, I think it deserves a little bit more attention because it's kind of nice. I know that the Bandai America and Bandai Europe released the Tamagotchi Friends a couple years later, and it was more or less a successor to the Tama Go TamaTown, but I don't know, I'm a big fan of these figures. They're just neat. But yes, that was what I had to say about the Tama Go, and let me know if you also have some weird feelings about the Tama Go and you kind of feel sorry for it being more or less forgotten. Everyone's always there, oh yes, I'm going to play with my connection because nostalgia, yay, connection, yay. But no one ever remembers this. To be fair, I think I bought this for about $5 from the reject shop. No, I think I was in my first year of university, so like maybe 2012, so 7 years ago. So it was 2 years after this came out that I actually found out about them. So they weren't marketed super well, so maybe that's why nobody seems to ever think about these. But yes, that's a little bit of a weird one to review, but if I just spoke about ones that everyone knew about, then I wouldn't be that interesting now, would I? So at least I can try to talk about something. And look, it's purple, and what's wrong with purple? Anyway, it's a great colour. But yeah, so that's what I had to say about the Tama Go TamaTown, and let me know what you think about this, if you've thought about it before, or if you know about it, or if you have any thoughts, just please talk to me. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!